You know, there are so many things that I ask you all to pay attention to, because there are so many things that impact our lives in ways that we don't even begin to imagine. And the way we report the news is one of those things. I mean, when you think about it, the way that our journalists report the news influences the way we look at the world. It influences the way we look at each other. It affects the politics of this country. It affects your income. Journalists are key. And what we don't often think about is that they are the protectors of this vision that we call a democracy. And they are under an amazing amount of pressure right now, which puts at risk this whole idea of equality and liberty that we hope to surround ourselves with every day. Let me talk to you about a few things I learned in my conversation with Kurt Franck. Mr. Franck is the general manager and executive editor at The Blade, and he was kind enough to spend his evening with us. And journalists, according to Mr. Franck, are doing some things right, lots of things right. But one of the things that he talked about was the need for reporting to maintain its integrity. And it maintains its integrity when the facts are reported, just the facts, not someone's political agenda. We need to pay attention to the fact that the number of journalists that we have out there protecting this liberty of ours has shrunk by 37,000 people since 2020. What's the impact, you need to ask yourself, when you have fewer people watching the dynamics of this country and the way that it's moving? There's the fatigue that they suffer from so fewer of them being able to cover these stories. And just the fact that you have competing media outlets like Facebook and Twitter and all of those kinds of things where people are getting their news. One of the most important things that I discovered in my conversation with Mr. Franck is that we can't afford to be a lazy society. We have to pay attention to what we're being told, because everybody's not telling you the truth. Just because they're holding a microphone doesn't mean that what comes out of their mouths is necessarily accurate. We have to be diligent when we are listening to journalists, when we are making our decisions based on what they tell us, when we are framing our vision of this world based on the information that comes to you through any news media that you choose to get your information from. You need to be diligent in making sure that what you're putting into your brain and putting into your heart is what you want there, that it's accurate, and that it reflects the truth of the country that we live in. Please, please, please join me on To The Point.